Hi, everyone. Professor Monty, and let's factor some trinomials for practice. So remember, I've got a trinomial. I've factored out any greatest common factor. These don't have any other greatest common factor other than 1. So what I want to do is I want to factor this trinomial into 2 binomials. Well, I know the x squared comes from the first, so that has to be x times x. The 7, the outside plus the inside, and the 6 is from the last. So then I go straight to the last and I say, okay, these 2 numbers have to multiply to 6. And since it's positive 6, both signs have to be whatever this sign is here. So since that sign's positive, I know they're both positive. And so I need 2 numbers that multiply to 6 and add to 7. Well, that's going to be 6 and 1. And so here's what I've done. I've thought about, okay, they multiply to 6. And then when we add, what we want is we want a 7. So list the things that multiply to 6. 6 and 1, 2 and 3, that's all. I already knew the signs were both positive, so I just have to look at the positive ones up here. These add to 7, these add to 5. If it was anything other than 7 or 5, it'd be prime, I wouldn't be able to factor it. But it was the 7, that's how I knew it was the 6 and the 1. And we can check, there's my x squared. There's my plus 6 for the last. And then the inside comes from the 6x plus the 1x, which gives me the 7x, which matches that. Ideally, you'll do this in your head. If you can get there, great. If not, write it down to start with. Some people even like to do this, where they do an x. They say, oh, they multiply to a 6, and they add to a 7. And then they know right away what they're looking for, and they're like, oh, that has to be 6 and 1. Or 1 and 6, either way, it doesn't matter. The order doesn't matter with multiplication. Okay, so anyway, that's the idea. Let's do a couple more just to kind of get the feel for it. So let's try this one. It's x squared minus 6x plus 8. And again, here's what I know. I know this sign is positive, so both signs have to be that first sign. So I know when I factor, it's going to be x minus and x minus, again, the x times x from the x squared. This time they have to multiply to an 8, add to 6, specifically negative 6, but we already know the signs. So they have to multiply to 8, they have to add to 6. Well, what can we get with 2 negatives? Now they add to negative 6, we'll put that here. They're both negatives, so maybe -1 and -8, maybe -2 and -4. Well, these add to -9, these add to -6, so that's the one I want. So it's x minus 2, x minus 4. So again, we see the x squared, we see the plus 8, and then the inside -2x plus the outside -4x. That's where my -6x comes from, which was my middle term. So we concentrate on the last one and then see what multiplies to that. It adds to this. Let's try one more. Let's do x squared plus 4x minus 12. Now, this time they multiply to a negative number. So I know the signs, there's 1 of each. So I know for this, oh, one's positive, one's negative. I know right away. Again, the x squared, so I know it's going to be x and x, but this time the one's positive, one's negative. Now the numbers subtract to positive 4. So I need 2 numbers that multiply to -12, subtract to -4. Now, if I'm thinking in my head, what I do, they multiply to 12. So I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply to 12. I already know the signs, but their difference, since that's a minus, is 4. Well, that's 6 and 2. Again, you can do a chart if you're doing it this way. Oh, they multiply to -12, they add to 4. Let's think of what does that. So I'm not listing all the options, but the numbers that work. Oh, let's see. There has to be 1 of each sign since they multiply to a negative. The bigger one has to be positive since they add to a positive. So it's 6 and -2. Those do multiply to -12, and those do add to 4. if we wanted to list all the possibilities, we'd say, okay, multiply to negative 12. And then when we add them, we want 4. We'll multiply to negative 12, a lot of choices. We could do negative 1 and 12. We could do 1 and negative 12. We can do negative 2 and 6. We can do 2 and negative 6. We can do negative 3 and 4. We can do 3 and negative 4. Those are all the possibilities of multiplying integers out. Well, when we add these up, I get 11, negative 11, 4, negative 4, 1, negative 1. And obviously, you can stop as soon as you get to the right one. These were all my choices. That's what I'm doing in my head. Ideally, if you can just do something like this and figure it out, this does list all the possibilities, though. So if that helps you out, at least while you're learning this, not a bad way to go. And as you get better and better, you're not even going to do this. You're just in your head going to say, oh, they multiplied to 12. Their difference is 4. That has to be a 6 and a 2. And then they multiplied to a negative, add to a positive. So the bigger one had to be positive. And there we have it. X squared. There's my minus 12. And then 6x minus 2x is 4x. So anyway, you can always check that real quick. Make sure you do check the middle term. Make sure you get the right number and the right sign. But other than that, it just takes practice. You'll get it. Factoring is something you use all throughout algebra and all throughout calculus if you go into calculus as well. So do bear that in mind. It is a skill that you do need to learn. This is a crucial skill going forward. So hopefully that helped you out. Again, as always, click like if you liked my video. Click subscribe if you want to be able to find more videos easily. I have a bunch of videos on these and factoring the trinomials as they get harder when we have a lead coefficient or a number in front of the x squared that's not a 1. All right, so best of luck to you. Practice and you'll get better at this.